Hello fellow survivors, and welcome to a quick guide on where all the matches in the long dark can be found at present. This is going to be a quick guide, and I also will go through all of the regions one by one, and I'll put timestamps in the video, so if you're looking for matches in a particular region, you can click on the timestamps and skip to that region to find out where they are. I will point out that before we start that this is going to be a quick guide, because I have been working on a thorough guide that shows you in detail exactly where all the matches are on every map with nice footage and everything for some time. But with the recent expansion pass released, they are changing the loot system, and there's a good chance that many of the match spawns I'm showing in this video will no longer be valid. So therefore, I'm instead going to show you a quick guide where I just show on the map where those matches are, and then you should be able to find them even without visual footage to aid you. I might throw in the odd one here and there. So in this video, we're going to look at all the matches that are guaranteed to spawn, and this applies to all difficulties. They are guaranteed in any difficulty that you play, and they only apply to wood matches. You can of course find other matches, cardboard matches, randomly in lower difficulties, and even on high difficulties. You can also find wood matches just in random locations. So the ones I'm going to show in this video are the only guaranteed one. One more thing before we start, I'm also going to attach a shortcut image for this video. So if you want just a quick guide to have on your computer or something, you can download this image and it tells you where all the matches in the world are. So it's just an even handier guide than just having to look up this video. Okay, with that said, let's hop into it, and we'll start with Ash Canyon. So, starting with Ash Canyon, there are 3 matches spawns here. One is over here near Bittermarsh, inside the Homesteader's Respite, which you have to get to by going around or through a shortcut. You can't just get there right away. But if you reach this building, there are matches inside. Then the more accessible ones, they are in Angler's Den. And you can get those even in the darkness if you practice, because they always are in the same place. You go in through the front door, and then you look a little bit to the right, right at the end of the house, and it's next to a bench in there. So that's another place you can find matches. And then finally, you can also find matches in the gold mine up in the northwest. The gold mine is a bit of a trek to get to. I wouldn't recommend taking this route that a lot of people take with 3 ropes up here. It's shorter, but 3 ropes is very dangerous. It takes a long time to do. So unless you have coffees or stims, I wouldn't do that. I would instead make my way up to Miners Folly or something like that and do the usual route over the bridges that are here until you get to the gold mine. And once you get there, you can get the technical backpack, the crampons, and there's matches in there. It varies where the matches are in the gold mine. They tend to be by the entrance where there's some loot, or they're on the workbench. But if not, just look around. They are there. So that's it for Ash Canyon. There are 3 places where you can find matches. Then we're moving down to Timberwolf Mountain, and here there are 3 places where you can find matches. The first is in what's called a 3-way cave, which is roughly here. If you spawn on a new interloper run, you can actually spawn right here, and then you can just walk into this cave. It's called a 3-way cave because there's 3 ways in and out. So there's this way here, which leads down to this little ravine. And then there's a little route up here, which leads to a rope anchor that doesn't work. You have to attach a rope to it. Or you can go out this way. So it's like an open cave. And inside there are matches. Isn't that great? So if you get there, you'll find matches laying about. You can also find them here in the Mountaineer's Hut. They are always there, sitting next to the fireplace. So this is another guaranteed spot where you'll always find matches. Next up, we have the summit, which is unique. First off, you have the guaranteed firestriker here. So up in the actual summit itself, when you get into the tail end of the plane, you will find a firestriker laying on the ground there, near the edge of the fuselage behind a little container, and it will always be there. So that's basically a type of matches, isn't it? I've also put down that there are guaranteed matches up there. I don't think that they are completely guaranteed, but if you break down the green boxes that are up in the summit, you usually find 2 sets of matches in one of them. But it has happened to me a few times that they are not there. So even though I wrote that they are guaranteed, it's not completely guaranteed. But the firestriker is guaranteed, so it's worth going up there regardless. So yeah, that's it. That's it for Timberwolf Mountain. 3 places here that you can find matches. Going from Timberwolf Mountain to Blackrock. This is a tough one with Timberwolves. And there are 2 spawns for matches here. One of them is down here by the jailer residences. And that is, there's a truck there. This is like a burnt out house and there's a little barn. And in that barn is a truck. And if you go inside the truck, there are matches on the dashboard of that truck. So that's one of the places. The other place is the Bricklayer's Retreat. They will also, you'll always be matches there laying by the fire. So that's another place. Those are the only 2 guaranteed match spawns in Blackrock. There are some places that often have matches. For example, there are trucks inside prison that very often have matches inside them on the floor, but they are not guaranteed. They vary from run to run. So the only 2 guaranteed ones are the 2 that we have in Bricklayer's Retreat and the Jailer's Residences. So those are the 2 in Blackrock. Moving on to Pleasant Valley, and this one's easy because here there is only 1 guaranteed match spawn, and that is inside the farm. This is a very popular base because it's right in the middle of everything, and if you want the matches here, they are always the same place. You go into the basement and there's a little, like, let's call the work area there with like a laundry machine, a workshop, a bench and so on. There's a metal shelf there, and at the bottom of the metal shelf you'll find matches. And this is another one where if you practice a bit, you can actually find these matches in the dark if you just know how to move. They are always there. This is the only place in Pleasant Valley where you can find guaranteed matches. Going down from Pleasant Valley to Coastal Highway, this one also is pretty straightforward. Here we only have 1 match as well, and that is up in the abandoned lookout tower up here. If you come into this tower and look around, you'll find matches usually on a bench or on the floor, and they are always there. This is the only place where you can find guaranteed matches in Coastal Highway. You tend to find it other places too because there's so many kitchens and containers, so you find them randomly around, but this is the only place that are guaranteed for matches. From here to Desolation Point, and here also in this small region there is only 1 area where there are guaranteed matches, and that is inside Hibernia Processing. If you go in there, you will find matches, but it varies where they are. It tends to be 1 of 3 places. Usually when you enter Hibernia Processing, there are some lockers and a wooden shelf, and they tend to be on that shelf, but they can also be in the nearby office or on some other shelves in the adjacent room. So if you don't see them right away, just look around and you will find them. They are always there. It just varies where they are in Hibernia Processing, but the matches are there. Moving on to Mystery Lake, and this one is actually pretty straightforward because in Mystery Lake there are no guaranteed matches. This is probably the most popular region in the entire game, and yet you cannot find matches there. It's one of the few regions in the game with no guaranteed matches. So you can't even bother looking because it won't be there. But you can, of course, find matches randomly. However, there's one thing that's worth pointing out here, and that is the mag lens. You can find the mag lens here guaranteed. The mag lens will either be in Trapper's cabin behind the chair, so look close, or will be in the lookout tower, or probably under the bed, but sometimes on the counter. Just look for it and you'll find it there. If you don't find it in either of these 2 locations, it will be inside the camp office. And the camp office, it can be 4 different places, so just look very, very thoroughly. It can be behind a bookshelf, behind some crates on the 1st floor. It can be behind some crates on the 2nd floor, or under the bed on the 2nd floor. So there are many places it can be. So if you don't see it, just look very, very closely and you'll find it. That's the only guaranteed item to do with fire starting you can find in Mystery Lake. But you'll probably find some random matches here and there, especially in the dam because there's so many containers and things. But that's the only guaranteed one. Going from Mystery Lake to Forlorn Muskeg. Here there is only 1 guaranteed match spawn as well, and that is by the forge, conveniently. In the forge, on the workbench, in the Spencer's homestead or Spencer's farm, where that we call it, you will find matches there. So if you spawn here, you should make your way there and pick up those matches. If you didn't want to do that, you want to get out of there, I should point out that there's also a guaranteed flare by the poachers camp in the middle of the map, and you can use the flare to start a fire. So in a worst case scenario, if you can't get those matches, get the flare instead. But other than that, there are no matches in Forlorn Muskeg, just that one. Moving on to Bleak Inlet. This one is also pretty straightforward because here there are also no guaranteed matches that are static. Now, you can usually find matches somewhere in this region though. So for that reason, it says on the short guide I made, it just says it's somewhere. They tend to be many, many different locations, so I haven't even bothered listing them. If you want a full list of it, speak to a streamer called Once and Only or one of the other veteran players who play a lot of Nago and that sort of thing. Because the impression I get from them who know this area more than I do is that you can always find matches in Bleak Inlet, but it varies where in the region it is, and therefore it's the same as if it's practically not guaranteed. But if you loot everything here in Bleak Inlet, you will find matches. It's just that it varies where it is. There isn't a static spawn for it. Moving on to the Broken Railroad. This small region is actually great. I quite like it. I should go there more often. But here you have a bit of an unusual thing to do with fire starting. So in terms of matches, there's only one guaranteed match spawn, and it's here in the maintenance yard. Sorry, if you go inside there, you will find the matches inside the yard. So just look around for it. It usually is on a desk or something like that. So it's in there. However, what's unique about Broken Railroad is that you can also find a fire starter here. It's just that it varies where the fire starter is. It's usually in one of 3 locations. So you can find it either in a truck inside the maintenance yard itself, or you can find it in a hunter's blind that is near the lake. If it's not there, you can alternatively find it in a cave that's near the hunting lodge to the north. And if it's not there either, well, then it's down in this ravine here on the left that you need a rope to get down to. And there's a supply cache, and you can find it down here in the ravine. So even though it's a little bit tricky and it varies where it is, this is quite a small region, so it's not that hard to check. And you should really go down to the ravine anyway, because there's a stim there. You can find a fire striker here. It just varies which of these 4 locations that it's in. So there are fire starting options here. Then we have a mountain town, and this one also is relatively straightforward. There are 2 guaranteed match spawns here. One of them is here right in the center of Milton, and it's Grey Mother's house, also called, I think, Milton House or Townhouse or something. And this is where Grey Mother is in story mode. If you go in there and check her kitchen, you will find matches in her kitchen, and they are always there. Then there's another one that is always there that is a bit less known. But if you make your way from the Orca station and you climb down into the from the picnic area into this little climbers area where you eventually take another rope and then you go up through the river and out of Mountain Town into Mystery Lake. If you do that, you will come by a cave in the middle of this, and in this cave there are matches. There's usually inside a backpack that you loot, so there's matches in there. So there are 2 places that you can find matches in Mountain Town. Okay, and then finally we have Hushed River Valley, and Hushed River Valley is a little bit of a mess, so I don't have a clean map for this because there are no structures and therefore no clean landmarks in Hushed River Valley, so therefore it's a little bit of a mess. So I'm going to try to explain these as easy as I can because this is a little bit of a tricky region and I'm leaving it for last. If you want a cleaner presentation of where these matches are, I have a Hushed River Valley walkthrough guide where I, in the beginning of the video, explain where the matches are with some visual aids and showing you how to get to them. So you can check out that video for more details. For now, though, there are 3 to 4 guaranteed matches in Hushed River Valley. The first one is up here. This is a cave that's to the north of this lake where there's usually deer and that sort of thing. Not too far from the ice cave entrance, and this long rope you can climb up to the monolith lake. And inside this cave is a corpse, and that corpse will always have matches on it. Then there are matches inside a cave down here in the river, roughly here. So if you spawn an interloper, one of the places you can actually spawn is here, and you can go across the river here, follow it along all the way until this curve, and you get to this little cave. And inside that cave, there are matches. They will be laying there on the ground. The third guaranteed match spawn is a little bit unique because it's inside an ice cave system. So there are 2 ice cave systems in HRV, which is a set of caves that link together. One is this one. It starts in this, actually down by the river here, and you go inside and it comes out in this cave and also in this cave, which reaches the northern mysterious signal fire. But the matches are not in that one. There's another one, which is the one that goes from this cave here, which is near the river underneath Monolith Lake. And that connects to this cave, which is kind of like on a plateau between levels, which then connects all the way down to this cave, which accesses the southern signal fire. And here's the thing, inside this cave system, there are matches. It will vary exactly where in the cave system it is, but you'll usually find the same place where you'll find a bedroll and hacksaw. So that's where the matches are in that system. Be wary that there's a wolf inside this cave, though. This is one of 3 places where you can find an indoor wolf, and Sketchy is what he's called. He could kill you, so be careful with that. So those are the 3 match spawns in Hashtree Valley. There is a 4th one, which I will mention, which is here in Moose Valley. So in this valley right here, which is called Moose Valley because the moose can spawn there, it basically is this area here, this actual valley here. Now, the thing is that there's often a corpse in this valley. It varies where the corpse is. It can be up here, it can be down here, it can be over here. It varies where it is. But if you find this corpse, that corpse will always have matches on it. However, I have had occurrences where this corpse did not spawn. I would say it's probably a 75% chance that this corpse spawns. And if it's there, you will find matches on it. If it's not there, then no matches here, I'm afraid. So this one is a maybe. And that's it. That's all the guaranteed matches that exist in the Long Dark right now that you can find. And this is irrespective of difficulty, but it's especially important on Interloper so you know where to go. As I said in the beginning, though, keep in mind that these spawns might change in the future because with the expansion pass, the loot system will change. And it's very likely that some, if not all of these match spawns will change. We don't really know yet. So I might make another video in the future. However, if you want to know where they are right now before the expansion comes out, or if you're playing on an older version, older saves, these are the match spawns that exist in the game right now. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time, survivors. Bye bye.
This'll come in handy.